Okay, good evening all. We'll get started. Really great to see so many of you here tonight. And it's great to see the boys and girls as well. Thank you for coming with your parents, because this meeting is for you as well. You know me at this stage, Father John. Suzanne is somewhere, our sacramental coordinator, and Katrina is there behind the pillar getting ready to do the slides. Katrina is our youth minister, but also a very active member of our parish team. Welcome to Miss Shields down there at the back, and Miss Burns sent her apologies. She just can't get up tonight, but she's joining us virtually. And I know tonight too there are many of the families who rang in that just can't get in tonight because of sickness or whatever. So they're joining us via our parish webcam tonight. So hopefully you can click into us. I'll say to those watching from home, if you would join the front view camera, because Katrina will be focusing on the screens during the talk, and you'll be able to get a better view than the back view, if you like. So the one that's going to be up there that I'm pointing at now, that's the best view camera. Put up hands how many this is your first Holy Communion child. Oh yeah, quite a good lot. Okay, great. So it'll be a new experience. Some of the others would have been through a little bit of this before as well. We normally would have started a little bit earlier than this, but because of COVID, everything was delayed, and we only celebrated last year's First Communion in September, end of August, September. And we only got confirmation done in October, so we're just getting cracking again now. We brought you into St. Clair's tonight, even though you'll be making your First Communion in Holy Cross, because you can see we can manage social distancing better, and also we have the screens here. We'd normally be having this in the parish centre, but we certainly can't go in there because we would be all on top of each other. During the last 2 years, we celebrated communion differently than we would normally have celebrated First Communion. We did it in very restrictive ways. The children and their parents booked into the parish centre the first year and the second year, and they didn't have the normal little practices that they would have had with their teachers in the schools, where they would have to walk up from the school into the church and celebrate and practice and all of that. And also, First Communion Day was a nice day for not only the parents and the child, but also the siblings, brothers and sisters, grannies and others. And we weren't able to have them present this year. Only the parents and the child came. So that was a huge, big thing. And so please God, when your child makes your communion, we will be able to have a little bit more there. But we did find that the smaller ceremonies were more intimate, and they were very, very spiritual. Way more spiritual than maybe we would have normally had it as well. So we did learn a few things. It did save the teachers having to walk up and down, even though the teachers prepared their children very much in their classroom. We linked in through the parish, through our parish webcam, and we had meetings like this where people couldn't come to church, but they joined us from their homes, and they linked in with us as well. And we had different masses and different celebrations. In fact, today, boys and girls, did you watch the mass from the church today? Yeah? You joined in your classroom, and you were able to see the mass and get to know what happens at the mass. And who did you see at the end? You saw Buddy coming out at the end, because I told Buddy to come out and say hello to you. So he did. You saw Buddy. Good. So that's basically what did happen. I want to try and pick some of the real special things that sort of evolved accidentally during the COVID and our celebrations the last few years. And we want to maybe get back to some of the other ways we were doing things as well. So I'll talk a little bit about both of those as we go through. Is that okay? So tonight we're here to say to you, I think the fact that you're all here, it means you're very anxious for your child to make First Holy Communion. Would that be right? Yeah, and that's great. I'm really impressed by the turnout. But we do say that you don't have to make First Communion if you don't want to. So there's always that question of why do we make First Communion for our child? Is Katrina gone? Yeah, sorry, there you are. Yeah. Why do we make First Communion for our child? You know, do we make it because they want to look well in the lovely dresses and the suits? They're going to have a big party and all of that. And they are important. And we're not against any of the little parties, everyone looking well and the excitement and the presents, because it's a celebration. But for us as a parish, and I know the school focuses very much as well on the spiritual side of what is going to happen on the day of your child's First Communion. And hopefully there'll be a second communion and a third and right through. It's not just a one-day event. It's something that hopefully will give the child and you a love as you move forward as well. So we just ask you, and we want you to ask that question, why are you making First Communion? We want you, and I know slightly repeating, if anyone's at the meeting for confirmation last night, there's a little overlap, not much, but so don't, it's starting at the start, so just bear with us, because we did focus on last night on maybe the church as it should be, and not the way it is perceived. And you know out there yourselves that there's a lot of bad press for the church, and for many people, a church is toxic. And while you might present your child for First Communion, a small percentage do practice their faith. And I know, talking to some of them, they get an awful hard time from their comrades at work or in their social sphere saying, why are you going to Mass? Why would you bother being involved with that crowd? You know. So there is a sense out there that people are totally put off by the church. And understandably, as we all know as well. But we try to focus on what is the church rather than what people perceive it to be. And that's our emphasis. And hopefully you'll get a feel for that as you journey with your child this year. We always focus on, and this is part of our mission statement, the reading from the Acts of the Apostles. Again, I read this last night. But basically it says, not going to read it all, but when Jesus went back to heaven, after he died on the cross and rose again, he sent his apostles into the world to proclaim the message, his message. And they formed Christian communities. And this is an account of the early Christian communities. And they remained faithful to the teaching of Jesus. They prayed, they celebrated Mass, they looked after one another, and then they shared their food gladly. But they always went as a community to celebrate Mass, because that's what they did from the very start. So the early Christians always prayed. The three things they do, they prayed, and we will be talking a little bit about that, the importance of praying. They celebrated Mass together as a community. And thirdly, they always shared and looked after one another. So the three elements that we constantly talk about here is we pray. Okay, and we will talk about family prayer and individual prayer in a minute. And then we celebrate Mass together, because that's what Jesus asked them to do. And that's the one we're going to be looking at mostly tonight, because that's where First Communion comes from. And then we look after one another. And we did emphasize last night at our meeting, you know, that our parish, we focus on all three. And we do have a certain church ministry, but also an outreach ministry. And just briefly, just to say some of them, St. Vincent de Paul, they help people who are in need. Just like the early Christians. If anyone was in need, they help them. Vincent de Paul, the Legion of Mary goes out to visit people, visit homes, visit schools, visit the sick, visit hospitals. And then the food kitchen, as you know, where we feed people every day, about 80 dinners, 80 to 100 get hot meals every day in our food kitchen, and then we give out about 80 or so food parcels each week as well. We'll be giving out Christmas dinners and all that as well. St. Feek's House looks after the elderly of our parish, Meals on Wheels and daycares, whatever, another outreach. That's parish as well. And also then maybe baptismal ministers help the parents bringing children to be baptized. That's just a few of the outreach ministries that we do have. But for the communion is really a three-pronged approach. And it's hopefully the three are working closely together. We have the home, we have the parish, and we have the school. Okay, three of them together. And I suppose parents, again I'd ask you to put up hands. How many of your children did I baptize? Many of the children here that I baptized, do you know? Can you remember? Okay, so a lot. You probably remember that day. I don't remember that day as much, but it's not that long ago. But on that day, you made a promise to bring your child up in the Christian faith. And you were told, if I did your baptism anyway, I say that the school will help, the parish will help, but if it doesn't come from the home, because that's where faith comes from, then it probably won't happen as much as we would really like. Okay, even though the school does amazingly, and we try in the parish as well. So it comes from the home. So if we go to the home then, what do we want you to do? Create a family prayer space. Okay? Have you got that already? Yeah? A little top of a shelf, because I would have told you that had a baptism as well. Have a little holy place. Put your baptismal candle. Put a little prayer cards. Put little rosary beads. Memorial cards. Holy water that we would have given you as well. And we're going to give you tonight a little family prayer. We want you to put that in it, and we want you to say that prayer. The front of it is a little family prayer. The second one side of it is the O Angel of God prayer. So even if you only say that as a family every night, fabulous. So use the holy place in your house as a place where you as a family gather to say a little prayer. That's very important. Okay? The family who prays together stays together. But it's a lovely way of families before you go to bed at night. Grace before and after meals. Prayer in the morning as your child gets up or whatever. There's loads of little ways of praying as a family. So the holy place is special. What else can you do in the home? We ask you to come to Mass each week as well. We'll talk a little bit about Mass in a minute. And then we also ask you to listen to what your child has learned in the school and answer their questions. Okay? So talk to them. We talk about football. We talk about Coronation Street, or we talk about all the other different things that's on in the world. We're all talking about COVID-19 restrictions and easing of another. Don't be afraid to talk to your child about faith. Ask them, what are they doing in church? Or what are they doing in school today? And talk to them. Let that be part of your conversation as the other things as part of your confirmation. Okay, you have training tonight. How did that go? Have we ever asked them, how did your religion or your preparation for communion go as well in your school? Okay, in the school then, as I say, we are blessed. Miss Shields and Miss Byrne have been doing First Communion for a huge amount of years now. Not tell you how many long Miss Shields there, but good bit. And they really, really do a wonderful work. And I just say again to the parents, and I keep saying that, and I'm sorry for repeating it if I have heard me before, but we are extremely blessed by the huge faith commitment that our teachers have for our children. Okay, they're really looked after. They will know their stuff. They will know how to receive. And they will get a love for their faith and Jesus through our teachers. Okay, so that's really, we normally ask them to talk, but I don't think they want to talk tonight, so we'll just keep going. Okay, so to do all about, and they will be sending home little activities for you to put in your sacred space as well during the year. Okay, so that's the sacred place. The parish then. All we're asking for you from the parish is that you try to come to Mass as often as you can. That's the only parish preparation, because First Communion is about Mass. And I don't want you to go to Mass because I said it. Or I don't want you to go to Mass because you feel you have to. We want you to go to Mass because you want to. And because you have a love of the Mass yourself. And we will later on, we'll have another meeting with you, and we will go to the Mass. But the greatest way of getting to know and understand the Mass is coming to Mass. So come to Mass every week as a family, whether it's here, 6:30 Saturday night or Sunday morning, or even if you look around the town or the surrounding areas, there's loads of Masses. You don't always have to come to your own Mass. Lovely if you did, but there's other things as well that are important. We're not dismissing football training or dance classes or shows or everything. That's all important. But just try and make time once a week if you can, or even an odd time. Okay, so what can they do as well, even if you want to get me more involved? There's a lovely children's choir here, and it's not confined to Collection or Grey Cullen. It's for everyone, and there's lots of children in Collection joining that choir. 5 o'clock every Friday from 5 to 6, they practice in the parish centre, and they're only back now because we couldn't have them up to now. There'll be also Sunday school, but we don't have that back yet. So there's a little thing that if your child can sing, and it's a way of get them more and more involved in the Mass. In a few years, they could become altar servers as well, and other little things that we do have for them. So that's one thing they can do. So anyway, again to emphasize the 3 things: we pray, do it in the home, celebrate Mass, look after one another. Does that all make sense to you? Okay, so we're going to look at the Mass briefly, just to see what does the word Eucharist, first Eucharist or Mass. Okay, it means to say thanks. But what does it mean for us? I want to go on just to the next one there. It goes back to the Last Supper. When Jesus took the bread and he said, "This is my body." He took the wine, he said, "This is my blood." And then he said, "Do this in memory of me." I think he says that. Is that coming up? Yeah, do this in memory of me. So that's what Jesus is saying. So why do we go to Mass? Because I say it? No. Because the teacher says it? No. It's because Jesus says it. And we saw the early Christians. As soon as the apostles formed the early community, the Christians immediately started to say Mass because Jesus asked them to. And right through the early Christians, there they are, they gathered in their homes, because they had no big churches then, the early ones, and they celebrate Mass together, the Passover meal. Okay, we'll just flick through those as quick as we can. The olden time, Mass used to be celebrated with the back to the people. None of you remembers that, because it went out in the late 60s, but I do. I remember when the priest used to say the Mass in Latin with his back to the people. But anyway, it evolved over the years, and we came along to, there's where they received the first communion on the altar rails. That's a different way of celebrating it. If we go on further again, we see how they used to celebrate it in their homes, particularly during penal times when it was outlawed to celebrate Mass in churches. They had to do it secretly. And for Collection, I think you all know, or I don't know if you do or not, out in Keelog, in one of the fields there, in Mournsfield, there's a Mass rock. And the people used to celebrate Mass at the Mass rock out of fear of their lives. If they were caught by the British, the priest would be executed and the others would be put in jail. So no matter what, they still celebrated Mass. And you all know next year, it's the 200th anniversary of Holy Cross Church. So even for the last 200 years, that's where the Christians gather to celebrate Mass. And we will have great celebrations, but the most important part of that is that we go to church. There's no point in having a lovely building if there's nobody in it. All right? So that's what it is. So Jesus said at the Last Supper, "Take this and eat of it. This is my body." And then he said, "Take this and drink. This is my blood." And then he said, "Do this in memory of me." Okay? And that's why we go to Mass, in a nutshell. We will be meeting you later, and we will go through the Mass with you so that we can explain it to you a little bit better. Sorry, I'm putting me back to you because I'm trying to look at that camera over there because I know there's somebody joining us there. Okay, so in January we'll meet again, and we'll give dates and times for all the upcoming services. Okay. And then we will have First Confession. We will give you the date for that in January. Last year, the way we celebrated First Confession, I know some of you might have been involved, we had a virtual ceremony. Everyone watched the ceremony at home because the churches were closed. You couldn't come to church. But the church was open for private prayer. And then each parent booked in their child, and they came at a certain time the weekend after that. And it was a lovely experience. The child came to the priest. We were in Holy Cross for the Collection children. They came up to the priest. We had good distance between us. We wore masks. The parents sat there. We had young people sanitizing as they came up. We had stewards stopping some halfway down, some at the bottom, so that there was no connection and they went out another door. And we found it was a very, very lovely personal experience for families. And we also found a great feedback from the families themselves. So we'll probably do something on those lines again. But this time, hopefully you can come to the service. But on the night of the service, there won't be the confession. That'll be done privately with the parents and the child or the rest of the family on the weekend after that. Does that make sense? Okay, only takes a couple of minutes. You book in and you come and you have that little moment with the priest and the parents as well. This year we might have the opportunity, if they'd like, to avail of the sacrament. That'll be explained to you more because we will meet you again before that. And then what else do we do then? Do we just give them the dates? So that's what you're looking for, I'm sure. Holy Cross Collection on Saturday the 7th of May. Now it's the day before the 200 celebrations of the church, so we just hope that the next day we'll get all the children out in the finery for that big celebration as well. But it's the day before, the 7th of May. 2 ceremonies, 10:30 and 12. We're not telling you which yet, because I know you'll soon want to book the hairdos and the hairdressers and all of that, but we'll let you know soon when the teachers toss. Is that okay? So that's the date. That's just so you can work around the date, and then we'll give you the time later on. All right? So, Kara, you want to talk to him now for a little bit? Thanks.
I didn't realise I was saying anything, but it is important for me to say to you, you're going to be my best friends over the next year, because WhatsApp is my other best friend, and it'll be yours. It has to be, unfortunately. It's our best way of staying in contact with all parents for sacraments. And as soon as the year is out and it's safe to do so, you can leave the group, don't worry. But it's a one-way WhatsApp group that we have to set up. Once you register your child to receive a sacrament, we just need to know you and need to have contact for you. So it can be, mother or father, whoever, as long as we have at least one parent per child in the group, whichever one wants to be scalded with messages. But it won't be many, really. It's just for myself or Suzanne as the admins in it, and it's one-way messaging only. So the only messages that go into the group will be about your child's preparation for communion. That's it. Or for first penance, okay? There'll be dates, there'll be times, there'll be reminders, that kind of thing. Basic but important information. So it is important that you have a mobile number. That make sure you know, just mark on the form which mobile number you want to be put into the WhatsApp. And if it's both, that's absolutely fine. And we won't put any messages into that group until everyone's in it and everyone's registered, and we're happy with that, okay? And anything online that we put up photos-wise from your kids from the class preparation or from parish preparation when you're at Mass, and we take photos of that, it is all covered in your form for GDPR and media permission. It's all in there, and this is where it'll go up. It'll just go up to our Instagram and Facebook page, which, if you follow them already, they're very busy, they're very active, but we want to show off your kids and all the great work that they're doing preparing for communion, and the same for our confirmation classes and all our classes in both schools. So anything that we do in the parish, you'll find it up on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter as well, which is the same handle as Instagram. Is that all right? And the easiest way to get us, I suppose, if you need a question about baptismal certs or anything like that, ring the parish centre, 9141833, and it's up on the website as well, greatcullencollection.com, or you can email us, gkparish@gmail.com. But if you just need a quick question answered, you can just send me a quick WhatsApp, and I'll answer it as best I can, and I'll send you to Stan if I don't know the answer. All right? Thanks, everyone.
Okay, we're nearly at the end. Paperwork. This is my area, really. For anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Suzanne that they're talking about, and I work in the parish office. So if you have any questions, ring the parish office, and I can answer anything. This is the form. When this is over, you'll be coming up to the different tables. I'll be over there for Miss Byrne's class. So anybody from Miss Byrne's class, come to me. And Miss Shields will be over here, so anybody from her class, go over there. When you come to me, you'll be given a form. There's a back and a front to fill in, and I know that sounds a silly thing to remind you, but it's an amazing amount of people only fill in the front. But in actual fact, the back is more important because that's where you're going to put the telephone number. okay? And just general details that we have. The one thing that's on it is if your child is baptized, I have to see your baptism cert. Now, just to make it easy, if your child was baptized here in St. Clair's Church or in Holy Cross Collection, you needn't worry about it. I already have a copy of it, so I don't need to see it. If your child was baptized anywhere else, like Asca or Cathedral or anywhere else, I have to see a copy of the baptism cert. Just one of the rules. So if you are in that situation, if you could attach the baptism cert to the form, and drop them back. Now the forms can be left back to the school, to the teachers, and on or before tomorrow week. So if you can do that, that's a crucial thing. Okay?
Thanks, Suzanne. It's great there to see you diligently following us or watching out for how to follow us on Instagram. So Marie has already signed up and followed us on Instagram, and we're following her back as well. So that's great. They're on the ball already. We have a mass booklet for each of the children as well. This was put together by Suzanne, actually, herself, and it's very, very good because it explains the different parts of the Mass. So we want you to take a copy of this home, and when you are joining us for Mass, bring the booklet with you and try to get the child to follow it as you go along. Okay. Can I say about Mass, there's nothing like coming to Mass in person. Our churches are fully open now, even though we do still have ropes up, but not so much in collection because there's wider seats. But we do feel it's safe. We do have fabulous sanitizers and stewards. But yet, we probably know some people are still a little bit nervous, and that is fine too, okay? We're not going to... if you can't join us in person, and hopefully you will feel you can and you will feel safe to, please join us on our webcam as a family on Sundays for a little while. You promise me you'll do that? Okay, Saturday night or Sunday. We're going to make our Sunday Masses very child-friendly, the 11:30 Mass on a Sunday here. So please join us. Hopefully we will, when we're up and running, we'll have our children's choir at that Mass. We will have our Sunday school so the smaller children could go inside and learn about the Mass and about Jesus in language appropriate to their own age as well. So that's what we're focusing on. That'll be a family Mass every Sunday. We will have child-friendly stuff. So we love to have you all here. But if you still feel nervous, please join us by webcam. It's the only preparation we are asking you to do with your children from the parish, is to come to Mass, okay, on a Sunday. All right, so this booklet will be there. Also, the little prayer, it's a family prayer that I would normally, when I'm going around to visit the homes, I would pray that prayer with you, but we're going to give you the prayer because it's probably not yet safe enough for me to just knock at doors and say, I'm coming in to see your child's sacred space. But if anyone after Christmas or coming near the communion would like me to call out to visit your home and to say a little prayer with your child and to see your child's sacred space and give it a little blessing and then have a large portion of apple tart and cream and coffee, I'll be happy to do that. Is that okay? But I'll only wait for your invitation. I just feel we can't do it in the climate that we're in at the moment. But I would be very happy if any of your child feels they would like me to call and visit. Okay? So that'll be there as well. So we're just going to finish with a little sort of a prayer reflection piece of music that we want you just to join or follow by looking at. Again, it's about celebrating Eucharist and celebrating Mass. That's what we're about. Okay.
We gather in this place, round the table of the Lord. Christ's presence is revealed in our communion.
Okay, that's again hopefully give you a little feel for what the Eucharist is about. Again, take this form. Don't take a form for someone who can't be here. We will get it to them, to their teachers in the schools. As well as that, just to highlight that the number you give us, that you give Katrina there, will be only used for our communication with you with regard to First Confession and Communion. We won't be using it or giving it to anyone else, so just to be assured of that as well. But it's important that we do have it because we do send a lot of information, even some videos and some other things as part of your preparation. So it'd be great to get that. So thanks to Ms. Shields and Ms. Byrne, your teachers again. Thanks to Suzanne. Thanks to Katrina. Put all the lovely slides together. And in a few years' time, Katrina will be working more with you when you come a little bit bigger, when you go into confirmation age, because Katrina runs our massive youth ministry program here, where young people who have come through the ranks, got their confirmation, and now are very actively involved in our parish as well. So you'll be, please God, starting the journey now that will end up with those as well. Okay, so thanks again for coming. So maybe just make your way up to Miss Byrne's class. We'll go to Suzanne here, and Miss Shields' class will be sitting here. And maybe if you just go back, just conscious of keeping everyone safe with distance. So just